Go ahead, gentlemen.
How you doing, Deisel?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Always a pleasure to have you back on the show, mate, and great to have you coming back to Adelaide again.
Nice.
25 year celebration this year. It's really from our point of view, folks that have watched your career. It's just flown by. How's it been for you?
Well, it felt exactly like that. It's just, I mean, I can see that, this so much has happened, but it doesn't feel, like an incredibly long, period. It really doesn't. It's gone incredibly fast, but that's life, I guess.
The interesting thing watching your career is you've tackled such a really versatile mix of music over that time, but there's a real thread, a roots bluesy thread that goes through it all, which really holds everything together.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I guess that's starting to show a bit more and more, with each record that I make. But yeah, you're probably right that is the thread that holds it all together. And this record kind of goes back to the beginning of that thread, I suppose.
Well, under the influence, of course, is the CD you refer to, your new one, and there's some great tunes on there. How did you go about picking them? Were they all things that really did influence you in your younger days?
Absolutely. Right, from my younger days to to the last, even recently. There's some recent influences. So, but yeah, the majority of it would be like the stuff that I was trying to tackle in my bedroom, and it was the only way I could pick the songs like that was just to do it and not look twice, just think, but not overthink, and just shoot from the hip and then commit. And I think doing the shows really helped. We did some shows first before we went into the studio, and that kind of, as you play the songs live in front of people, you kind of get attached to them. You have this attachment and you don't look sideways, and then you just go into the studio and they become part of you, and they've grown onto you. And we did the record as a live thing in the studio. We didn't sort of become studio-like, we just played live.
And there's a really interesting mix, Deisel, on the album of tunes. I think that a lot of tunes people are familiar with, but a lot of what I call maybe lost classics that we haven't heard. Like Crosscut Saw is one, for instance, that just I haven't heard it for years, and it's a great song.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing that for the first time, probably when we were back. We were in Memphis recording our first album, and the producer would start off the day each day by playing some stuff, and Albert King was one of them, and that song just it just really took my imagination straight away. The lyrics, especially, and I just love that groove. It's so enticing, and I've always wanted to do that song. I just thought, here's my opportunity finally.
And the other one that folks may not be aware of, and I had to do a bit of research on this one, was Have Love Will Travel, which is an old band from the 60s from the States called the Sonics. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. They kind of predated, what people got to know, the MC5 and the Stooges, and that period. This is just before that. And they had a garagey kind of, unkept sort of feel about them, and kind of not dissimilar to the Injectors in a way. That was a guitar, sax, bass, drums thing, So I really dig that.
But quite a sound before their time. And how did you discover those guys? Like they certainly.
Well, they termed garage it even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was just by accident, A friend of mine was just playing me a bunch of stuff one day and said, "Oh, have you heard this track?" I'd never heard it before, and I thought, "What is this? This is insane, it's ferocious." And then, later I realized that people like the Black Keys had had to go at it and stuff, which is cool. That's a sign of a great song. So, I instantly thought, well, this will really work as because I love riffs like that, and I
That's got to be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
And lots of things happening for you apart from the new album and coming to see us in Adelaide. But you're on the bill with Rod Stewart coming up soon. That's gonna. Were you a Faces fan when you were a late?
I was. I mean, one of the first songs it was the first song I ever requested on a radio. Was I rang my sisters helped dial a number for me, made me stand on a stool to reach the phone in the kitchen, and I requested Maggie May. It was 71 or 72 or something like that. So yeah, that was. I still love that song, and I love. He's just one of the great rock singers of all time, I think.
Well, certainly the Faces stuff in particular for me just
Absolutely.
still sounds as great as it did the first time I ever heard it.
Does. And it's such, when you think of the influence it's had on bands, well, the Black Crowes, for instance, there wouldn't be any Black Crowes without that.
And Rod's had some hot guitar players in his band over the years, so any chance you might get a call up to just have a bit of a jam?
I hope so.
That'd be sweet.
When I think of people like Jeff Beck and Bron Wood, to name a few, he's had some great guitar players. Absolutely.
I can just see you up there. I hope that happens. That'll be a hoot. So what's the format you're coming to Adelaide this time? Because I think last time we saw you it was just you on your own.
Yeah, I do solo shows quite often, and really enjoy them. But this is the three-piece Nucleus, which is really great for playing this album. You can, the Hendrix stuff relates to it apparently, especially really well. So yeah, we've got a good slab of old and new in the show at the moment.
Look forward to it. It's the 16th and 17th at Norwood Live, which has just won a big award in Adelaide for, I think, the best live venue of its type, and it is a great place to play.
Well, I think that's great, when things get recognised. I mean, I would have said it's a great venue anyway, but it's always nice when things get recognised, and, it certainly deserves it, because it feels, from the first time I played, it was a place that it felt like it was opening its doors not just to people and patrons, but to music, and music has a real belonging there, which is good. And
somewhere a little bit different on the Sunday, you're up in the hills, so that should be a bit of fun as well.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be doing something in a part of South Australia that I haven't really played it before, so to my knowledge anyway. So they tell me it's a great spot up there, and people like to get up there, and it's a bit of a little hideaway sort of thing, so it should be good.
It's a big room too, and it does go off, so I think you're in for a big one.
Nice one.
Fantastic. All right, Deisel, great to say hello, mate. Looking forward to seeing you back in Adelaide, and it's always a pleasure to say hello.
Thanks for having me on.
Can I get you to do a quick tag for me?
Sure.
My program's called Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
No worries.
If you can do me something like "This is Deisel" when you're listening to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Hey there, it's Deisel here, and you're listening to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Thank you so much, mate. All the best. Have a great day. Look forward to saying hello.
Cheers.
Take care.
Buddy.
Bye-bye.